Okay, so we're gonna start laying down. So go ahead and come to your yoga mat if you're not there already. And maybe finding Shavasana, arms and legs outstretched, or maybe constructive rest pose with your feet standing up at the edges of your mat and your knees resting together at the center. Of course, there are 100 or more variations to these poses. So if anything feels interesting or you can think of a way to make yourself a little more comfortable, go ahead and just keep fine tuning until you feel pretty settled. Nothing's out of whack. Everything's kind of aligned in a way that feels nice. And taking your time settling in, letting your awareness start to float through your body, just taking stock of how things are feeling physically now. Noticing which parts of your body are touching the floor. Noticing the temperature of your body. Noticing anything else that catches your attention as you continue to scan through in no particular order. Just letting the touch of your awareness kind of illuminate anything that needs illuminating. Are there parts of your body that are feeling that they need a little extra care and tending to? Are there any parts of your body that feel stagnant or dull that maybe need a little extra vigor or use today in our practice? Keep noticing for a couple more breaths the physical body. And moving on to the energetic body. How much energy are you feeling that you have? If you had a tank you had to fill up when it's empty, how full is your tank in this moment? And just trying to be kind of honest with yourself. How's your energy level? And I think it's always good to pause, taking a few moments to notice your emotions. If you're having any feelings or emotions surfacing or lingering. Oftentimes there's more than one, maybe two or three even that you could name. Just checking in here. And with all of that information that you've gathered now about how things are for you, just start to notice your breath. Does your breath kind of reflect any of those feelings? Is there any way that you could breathe to kind of find a little more of a soothing quality? Maybe expanding your inhales, possibly slowing your exhales. For many people, just a nice, full, comfortable breath in and out, just following that a few times through can be just so grounding and soothing. So go ahead and experiment with just a couple more rounds of this mindful breath. Letting your body just become even more relaxed, especially those areas, if you have any that feel extra tense. Giving them permission just to soften here for a few last breaths. And before we start moving, if you'd like to set a dedication or intention for your practice today, now is a great time to do so. Calling to mind something or someone that you'd like to focus on or hold in your heart. Maybe some kind of quality you want to cultivate or grow in your life. For some people, they always are working with the same sankalpa or intention, like it's almost like a life motto type of thing. Other people like to choose just like a word or a person that's unique to each day. Any which way you're feeling is totally cool. And if nothing quite comes to mind, just consider for a moment why you come to yoga. Why are you here? Maybe that can inform your focus. Let's take 3 clearing breaths now, inhaling through your nose and eventually sighing out of your mouth. You can make a little sound with it if you want. 2 more just like that. Go ahead. And whenever you've completed those rounds, just coming back to a steady pace of breath as you start to bring a little bit of movement into your body. Maybe some wiggling of fingers and toes. Maybe turning your head from side to side a couple of times. And starting to circle ankles and wrists a couple times both ways. Wiggling your fingers, wiggling your toes, just getting some movement into those extremities. And then eventually heading into a long body stretch, stretching those fingers and toes long in opposite directions. Sometimes it feels nice to kind of arch your back up or stretch one arm a little farther than the other. You can get a little creative with it. Awesome. And then we'll head into breathing bridge pose next. So we'll stand the feet up, bending your knees. Hands will start down by our sides here, tucking your shoulder blades in underneath your back so your chest is kind of puffing up. And then tuck your tailbone under so the small of your back is kind of pressing into the ground. With your inhale, start to lift the pelvis, reaching those hip points up toward the sky. Doesn't have to be too far, just a little bit here. And then exhale, lower down. Let's do that 4 more times, following your inhale as you rise. Softening, lowering down with your exhales. Just about 3 more. Go ahead here at your own pace, rising with your inhales and lowering with your exhales. On your last one, let's stay lifted at the top. Staying here for your exhale. With your inhale, you have the option to rise up to your tippy toes, lifting those heels. And then exhale to lower the heels, lower the pelvis all the way back down to the floor. Let's bring those knees in toward the chest, just grabbing hold of your knees or behind your thighs or your shins, whatever you can reach comfortably. Just start to massage out the sacrum area, that very low part of the back. Kind of feels almost like it's part of the pelvis right there. And just with a little bit of intuitive rocking, free movement, rock a little side to side. Just try to really target that very low spot or any of those interesting places that are calling out for pressure. You can kind of straighten your arms a little bit more to get a little lower down. Ooh, it feels good to get kind of into some of the glutes, the hips, rocking to the side a little bit. All right. And then we'll find a happy baby. Just pulling your knees in toward your armpits. You can hold the knees or you can reach down, grab hold of the feet, the inside or outside edges of your feet, or even grabbing hold of the big toes. And almost considering this like a nice deep squat. So just kind of pulling those knees in toward the armpits. You can get a little rocking if you like, but for a lot of people, rocking feels too unstable, so you can stay still here too. All right, and then moving along, we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. If that's a comfortable place for you, you can wrap your hands around your feet or just hold on to your knees as they come together. And playing around a little bit here too, if you like the rocking, you can rock a little bit side to side or just hold steady, feeling a nice hip opener. And releasing the feet back to the floor. Let's turn over to either side, the fetal position, and we'll just use the help of the hands to press on up to a comfortable seat. Take your time. Let's tent the fingertips off to the sides and sit up nice and tall. You could close your eyes if you like here, just straightening up through the spine, lengthening upwards. Finding that little half tuck of your chin to lengthen the back of your neck. And with an inhale, let's reach those arms around and up. Option to look up toward your palms as they join. And then exhale, lower hands down to heart center. Staying with the hands at the heart with your next inhale, let's find Hakini Mudra, spreading the palms out, keeping the fingertips touching. I like to keep my thumbs like touching the sternum, but it's up to you. And then exhale, press the hands back together. Let's do that again. Inhale, Hakini Mudra, palms spread out, fingertips still touch. Exhale, palms back together. One more time like that. Inhale, Hakini Mudra. Exhale, Anjali Mudra, it's called when the palms are together, prayer hands. Inhale, hands reach high, gaze can follow if you like. And exhale, reach those arms around and down. We're gonna just keep doing that a couple times. So with your inhale, rising, lifting those hands up. Exhale, brings the hands to heart center. We'll be at heart center for 3 breaths. So with your inhale, Hakini Mudra. Exhale, Anjali Mudra. Inhale, palms spread out. Exhale, palms together. One more time, keep going at your own pace. Inhaling, Hakini. Exhale, Anjali. And then inhale, rise, reach those hands up. And exhale, circle those arms back down to the floor. Go ahead and do that one time at your own pace. I'm not going to cue it here. If you forget what comes next, just guess, just improvise. We'll just have 3 breaths with the hands at heart center there. Take your time. As you finish up, know that we are headed to hands and knees next. So when you're ready, sweeping those legs around and back, coming to tabletop position. We'll do cat and cow here. So when you're ready, starting to inhale as you lower your belly, lift up the tailbone, lift up the gaze a little bit, cow pose. And exhale to cat pose, rounding up through your spine, press into your hands, feel those shoulder blades spreading out, cat pose. You know what's up now, inhaling, cow, belly lowers, gaze lifts. Exhaling up to cat, letting that arched spine kind of press the air out of the lungs. And just continue on. And know that you're welcome to add on any little extra wiggles or moves or explorations as they come to you. if they do. Okay. And then we will thread the needle next. So just keeping that left hand down. Let's inhale and lift that right hand high. Kind of an upward twist here for a couple moments. Circle that right wrist out as you breathe. Wiggle those fingers. See what it's like to circle the wrist a couple times with your hand in a fist now. See how that kind of changes a little bit. And then when you're ready with your next exhale, let's thread the needle, dipping that right arm down and through. Option to set the right shoulder and right side of the head on the floor, or props if you can comfortably reach. Left hand is open to interpretation. You could walk those left fingertips up toward the top of your mat, or lift that left hand high in the sky, or just keep it there by your face. Breathe and feel into the right shoulder. Where else might you feel sensation? One more breath here. And then placing your left hand back by your face, press your way all the way up and reach that right arm high once more. And then we'll do a couple shoulder circles with that right arm. So whichever direction feels right, just nice big arm circles, about 3 or so both ways. Switching directions whenever it feels right. Just freestyling a little bit there. And then bring that right hand down to the floor when you've had enough. And of course, we'll do the other side. So with an inhale, reach that left arm high. Keep breathing with your left arm up. And circle the left wrist around a couple times both ways. Wiggle the fingertips. And at some point, making the left hand into a nice little fist. And circling again, both ways. Good, good. Inhale here. And with an exhale, thread the needle, left arm dipping down and through. Option to bring the left shoulder and left side of the head to the floor or props. And then let your right hand find its way to a supportive position. You can stay there right where it is, or maybe walk up to the top of the mat. And paying attention now with each breath to that left shoulder, the left shoulder blade. Any other sensations you're feeling? One more breath here. And then plant your right hand by your face, press your way all the way back up, reach the left arm high, and then take those nice big arm or shoulder circles. So just whatever direction to start. So you can go back and forth a couple times, but just make sure to go both directions a couple times. And then when you've had enough, bringing that hand to the floor and finding your way to extended child's pose. Knees out nice and wide, big toes touching behind you. Maybe sinking your seat toward your heels. If that doesn't feel great on the knees, you can always stay lifted and maybe just come down to your forearms while you reach your tailbone back a little bit. Always choosing your own adventure here, remembering that it has nothing to do with how it looks. It's everything to do with how you're relating to your body, relating to your limits and edges and explorations of the day. I'm just taking a couple diaphragmatic breaths or belly breaths here, really letting the belly expand with the inhales and soften with your exhales. Let's have about 3 more breaths here, just savoring every one of them. Sometimes if you focus on it, a breath can feel like so good. You know, like water, drinking water sometimes could feel so boring, but other times it's like just so needed and so delightful. So just taking your last breath here with as much delight as you can conjure up here. And then coming back up to tabletop, hands and knees. Let's find our way to downward dog next, grabbing those blocks if you have them. Bringing those up to the top, fingertips spreading out nice and wide. Grip with your fingertips. Curl those toes under. Start to reach that tailbone high, straightening the legs. You can keep them bent, of course, too, but, you know, getting up into that nice A-frame shape. Find your breath here first. And then if you like, maybe rising up to the tippy toes and then bringing the heels toward the floor a couple times. Maybe bending and straightening opposite knees, walking it out, pedaling it out. Just keep reaching through your shoulders, pressing your hands down into the floor a little more. Sticking with it for just a couple more breaths, 2 more breaths. 1 more breath in. 1 more breath out. With your inhale, bend your knees, look up toward the top of your mat. Exhale, step or walk your feet up to the top for ragdoll forward fold. Your feet can stay where they're at, or maybe toe heel your feet out a little wider if you want. And letting that upper body hang kind of loose here. Maybe taking a little bend of your knees, or maybe a deep bend of your knees if that helps get in to interesting areas for you. Keep up with your breathing. So easy to hold our breath when we're upside down, so just checking in. Breath is flowing. Maybe a little bit of swaying here. Maybe a head nod, yes or no. Option to stay here in your forward fold, or join me in doing a little kind of like frog squats. If you want to join me, take your blocks, bring them up to the highest setting under each hand here. Toe heel your feet out a little wider. For me, I like to have my toes off of the mat and my heels on the mat, but just see what works for you once we get going. And just start to bend your knees a little bit, seeing about sinking into a little squat. And if you want, your heels can kind of come up off of the floor. So you're choosing your squat. Sometimes it's nice to keep the heels down. Sometimes it's just a little easier to get those heels up. So this isn't our traditional squat. It is not our traditional squat. Hands on the blocks there. Take a breath in, puffing up the chest, elongating the spine upwards. With your exhale, forward fold. We're straightening the legs, pressing into the blocks, lowering your head. Inhale, squatting down, bending the knees, chest lifting, gazing forward. And exhale, forward fold. If that's a little too fast, you can just wait for a round of breath, or it can be 1 breath to 1 movement. So we're just going to use an inhale at some point to lower to our squat, our little frog squat. And then exhale to the fold. Next time you're in a forward fold, let's just stay there for a moment as you toe heel your feet in a little closer. Bend your knees, and then use the help of your hands. Walk your hands up your legs here as you slowly rise up to stand. And when you get to the top, let's just get a little shake going through the body. So maybe shaking the arms, shaking the hands. You could lift and lower your heels a couple of times, getting a nice deep bounce, going through all the wiggly parts of the body. You could lift 1 foot up, 1 leg up, give it a little shake. Shake the shoulders, shake the hips, shake the glutes, whatever else. Try not to worry about looking cool. You're just giving everything a nice good shake, getting the energy moving, shaking out any little bits of dullness or stagnation. All right. So invigorating. All right, let's come up to the top of the mat here. We're just going to do a couple rounds of a very simple flow here. So take a look at your feet. Make sure they're comfortably distanced from each other. And then spin the palms to face the front of your space. Mountain pose, Tadasana. With your inhale, let's reach both hands high overhead. With your exhale, let's side bend to the right. So we're going to let that right hand lower. The left arm is going to reach. We're bending, side bending to the right. Inhale, come back up to center. Reach both hands high. Exhale, side bend to the left. Left arm lowers, right arm reaches. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Arms go wide, hinge at your hips. Lower those hands to the floor or blocks. Inhale, halfway lift. Hands slide up to the knees, shins or thighs. Exhale, hands come down to the block. Step that right foot back first, and then your left foot to your high plank. We're just here for one breath in. And one breath out as you lower the knees and then lower your chest, moving those blocks to the side and lower your chest down to the floor. Press the tops of your feet down into the mat so much that your knees start popping up a little bit. You feel those glutes working, those thighs working a little bit. With your inhale, rise up to baby cobra, head and chest lifting, not using the hands for support too much here or for lift, just the spine and core muscles. With your next exhale, lower down. Two more like that. We're inhaling as we rise to baby cobra, pulling those shoulder blades down and back. And exhale to lower. One more time. Inhale, baby cobra. And exhale, lower. Take a breath of rest in and out. Inhale, press up to tabletop, hands and knees. And exhale to child's pose. Knees can stay a little closer together if you like. Two more breaths in your child's pose when you get there. And using the next inhale to come up to tabletop. If you want to grab your blocks to have under your hands, you sure can. And then with an exhale, curling those toes under and pressing up to downward dog. Let's have 3 breaths in down dog. We're inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. Inhale, bend both knees, look up toward your hands. With your exhale, step that right foot forward first and then your left. Give it a couple more steps. If you didn't quite get to the top, that's no problem. Inhale, halfway lift. Nice straight spine, 90-degree angle. Exhale, forward fold, bending your knees a little bit. Press down through the bottoms of your feet. Inhale, rise on up. Arms reach wide and palms then join overhead. Exhale, hands come down to heart center. Find your center. Cultivate this home base feeling. Checking in with yourself. And let's take a clearing breath in through your nose. And sigh to release. Inhale, reach both arms high. Exhale, side bend to the left this time. Left arm lowers, right arm reaches. Inhale, come up to the center, reaching both hands high. Exhale, side bend to the right, right arm lowers. Inhale, back up to the center. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. We're going just a little faster this time. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, hands come to the floor or block. Step that left foot back first and then your right to your high plank. One big breath in and breath out. Knees lower, move those blocks to the side and chest lowers. Getting into place for baby cobra again. With your inhale, rise on up, baby cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, baby cobra, pulling those shoulder blades down and back. Exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale as you rise. Feel your strength. Exhale, lower. One breath resting at the bottom. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale, press up to tabletop. And exhale, child's pose. 2 breaths when you get there. And then inhaling to rise up to tabletop, grabbing those blocks if you like for downward dog. And using an exhale to transition to downward dog. 3 breaths when you get there. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Last breath in. Last breath out. Inhale, bend both knees, look up to your hands. Exhale, step that left foot forward first, and then your right. Forward fold at the top. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Press your feet down into the mat. Bend your knees a little bit, and inhale, rise all the way up. Hands join overhead. Exhale, hands back to heart center, Anjali Mudra at the heart. Once again, tapping into that centered feeling if you can. A sense of presence in your body, maybe noticing the temperature of your skin, maybe noticing some warmth that we've built through those sun salutation variations. Maybe you can feel your heart beating a little faster from that too. Trying to just be curious and not too judgmental, whatever's happening. And then a clearing breath together, in through the nose. And a sigh to release. All right, opening your eyes. Let's do a little bit of balancing here, and then we're going to move to a wall. So maybe you want to head to a wall now to hold for support. We'll just do tree pose today. So finding your center of gravity here with both feet pressing down into the mat. Shift all your weight over to the right leg and find that nice little kickstand position with your left leg opening up toward that left side. Have your hands wherever you want them to be, holding on to something or maybe at your heart or wherever. Find your drishti, your unmoving focal point. And if you're feeling up for more challenge, maybe sliding that left foot up to your right calf or even a little higher. Keep staring right at your drishti. And just remaining here. If you want to explore a little farther, I will warn you, this is kind of a more challenging variation, but you could try closing your eyes for a moment. Highly recommend holding on to something if you try that. It can be quite disorienting until you're used to it, but always full of explorations here. So maybe you close your eyes for an extra long blink and then open again. Oh, it's quite a challenge. We'll have about 3 more breaths. However you want to fill them is fine. Maybe some arm variations. Maybe reaching those hands up. Your call. Just about 1 more breath in. And with your exhale, letting everything come back down. Shaking it out a little bit. If it was really hard and you tried closing your eye and you realized like it'd be really nice to be holding on to something, go ahead and find that support. And of course, we'll switch sides now too. So bringing all the weight to the left foot, finding your nice little kickstand position with the right leg opening up toward the right wall, right side. Finding that drishti can be the same focal point or somewhere else. Just really focusing right at that spot. If it's feeling good, maybe sliding that right foot up to the left calf, or even higher if you want. Gripping down through those left toes. Try to steady your breath here. And you're welcome to explore variations. If you want that super challenge today, maybe closing your eyes for a long blink or for a couple of seconds. Maybe finding arm variations or arm movements. You could either link those movements to the flow of your breath or just hold. About 3 more breaths on this side. Just about 1 more breath here. With an exhale, starting to lower everything back down. Give it a little shake. You'll have to let me know later how that went with the eyes closed for a second if you tried that. And we're going to head to the wall next. So hopefully you've got somewhere planned out you might be able to come to. We're going to go ahead and sit down next to the wall. You might bring your mat over if you're on a hard floor, or maybe a blanket or what have you. We'll sit as close to the wall as you can with one of your hips. So I'm just doing left hip toward the wall. We're just going to kind of sit as close as we can there. If you have a better way of getting the feet up the wall, you are welcome to do your own way here, but this is kind of the best way I've found so far. And then we're just going to kind of start leaning back, bringing your elbows toward the floor as you sweep those legs up the wall. Might not be the most graceful movement, but we're getting there one way or the other. You can kind of scooch a little closer to the wall if you like. Some people prefer to have a little bit of space between their seat and the wall. Just kind of start figuring out how close it feels good for you to be scooted up toward the wall. And we'll just be here in legs up the wall here for a few moments. If your legs start feeling tingly or numb, you can always bend your knees or come down a little bit. If you have high blood pressure or glaucoma, it is recommended to either do a very short amount of time here with your legs up the wall, or your legs could come to a chair, or you could keep your knees bent. Sometimes having the feet lifted too high can send a lot of pressure upwards or downwards rather, to the rest of your body. So just being mindful. You might close your eyes. And letting those shoulders melt into the floor. Having legs up the wall is notorious for helping induce kind of a sleepy state. Some people claim it's very good for insomnia or right before bed. Calming down. If it feels natural, just kind of slowing the breath a little to at least maybe the exhale. Remembering you can always bend your knees a little bit, or even put your feet on the wall instead of the heels. Keep working with yourself here and your comfort. Option to stay right here or join me in exploring a figure 4 at the wall here, or supine pigeon can be called. So we're going to keep the right leg straight or straight-ish and start to bring your left foot just kind of on top of your right foot. Like we're just going to kind of slide that left foot down, bending your right knee and kind of sliding your left foot down wherever it reaches, and then straightening it back up the right leg. So the right leg is kind of the point we keep the left foot on. So just bend your left knee a couple times, bringing your left foot down toward your right knee a little bit, and then straightening it back up a couple times. Just notice how far your foot feels comfortable going. If it's not that far, that's fine. Just find that kind of end range for you here, and then go ahead and stay. This will be kind of a one of the stopping points. This could be great if it's already feeling good. One variation, of course, could be using the left hand to press your left knee away from you a little bit. If it's interesting to try going a little deeper or finding this other variation, you can scoot slightly away from the wall, just kind of scooting however you can, and then bend your right knee and place your right foot on the wall and just see if that feels okay. If it's too intense, you can either straighten that right leg out a little bit more or continue to scoot a little bit farther away from the wall. So keep fine tuning until you're feeling a nice figure 4 stretch here. Stretching that piriformis. What else are you feeling? Are you feeling a little hip opening? Some people feel this kind of as like a groin opener, or kind of like the inside of that left leg. Some people feel that it's kind of stretching the glutes or the hamstrings. I wonder what you are feeling. Slow that breath back down. This is another kind of rest point. You can stay here or revert back to any of our previous poses. If you want to try something that I find kind of fun, we're going to do kind of a figure 4 bridge pose, I guess you could call it. So arms could be out wide, or you could press your hands down into the floor beside you, whatever feels right. With an inhale, we can press the right foot into the wall and kind of lift those hips up, almost like a little shoulder stand here. And then exhale, slowly lower vertebrae by vertebrae back down. Now, you don't have to go very far. The slower you can ease into this at first, the better. So with your inhale, we're just lifting back up again if you want. And then exhale to lower back down. Mindful and carefully. Maybe one more time. Good. Okay. Now we're going to straighten that right leg back out, straighten that left leg back out. We'll switch sides. You can give it a little wiggle if you want in between. And then placing the outer edge of that right foot on top of the left foot. And just starting to slide your right edge of your foot, of the right foot down the leg, and then back up a couple times, just kind of warming up here. Seeing how far that right foot can comfortably and naturally go. And then sinking on in to a point that feels good. Maybe that right ankle can be close to or below the left knee, up to you. And making sure there's at least a little bend of that left knee too, so we're not locking into the joint. This is a good place to rest if it feels good. Maybe pressing your right hand into your right knee a little bit. Or going deeper if you want more sensation by bending your left knee and then placing your left foot against the wall. And you might scoot a little farther away from the wall if it feels too intense, or straighten that left foot a little bit. Just fine tune it until you find a comfortable amount of stretch. So you might be finding kind of an edge, but you're not pressing beyond your limits just for the sake of it. Just at the edge of your comfort zone, perhaps. Another good place to stay right here if you want to explore that little press up a couple times. Now is a good time to try that, maybe about 3 times through Using an inhale as you rise, pressing that left foot into the floor, lifting those hips, coming up to the shoulders. And then exhale to lower back down. Just kind of like the shoulder blade area. I'll rise up if you want. And then lower back down. One more if you are into it. And then straightening both legs. Giving them a little shake if you want. And now you have the choice either to get back into just legs up the wall or come on down and find your final resting pose. So turning over onto either side can be nice, and then just press your way a little farther away from the wall. Do what you need to do to get off that wall if you're leaving the wall. And then find your final resting pose. Maybe Shavasana, corpse pose. And finding a place for the arms and legs. Hopefully you're feeling comfortable. You could take up as much space as you'd like. And just notice any responses, any reverberations from today's practice in your body, your energy level, your emotions, just noticing any ripples. And if you set an intention today, just using these last couple of moments to try to create a one-pointed focus. And the goal isn't to be perfect, it's just to practice holding something in your focus. So if you had an intention, go ahead and focus on that as you breathe and rest. If you didn't have an intention today, maybe you just call a word to mind, or it can even just be your name. See if you can remember whatever it is that you are focusing on for the next few minutes. Breathing and focusing. Softening the muscles around your eyes and all of your facial features. Maybe even softening your grasp on your intention, almost like you're now looking at it with your peripherals. And if you'd like to stay here longer and continue your rest, you're so welcome to do that. Just ignore the rest of this closing. Whenever you are feeling ready to move a little, reawaken in a soft way, let's start by just a little wiggle of fingers and toes. You might open and close your jaw, swallow, yawn. Maybe head into a long body stretch if you like. eventually rolling onto either side, finding the fetal position. Your knees slightly tucking in, that bottom arm might be your pillow. Take a full round of breath here, just as sweet as you can manage. And at the bottom of that exhale, use the help of your hands and arms to press your way up to a comfortable seat. We will join hands in front of the heart. Feel free to join me in our closing chant, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, meaning peace, peace, peace. So go ahead and breathe in to prepare. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And drawing thumbs up to third eye center with a little gesture of gratitude to close. Feel free to take a little bow forward together now. Peace.